Welcome to this mid-length, almost uniform layer haircut. It's a slight variation on a uniform layer, very popular mid-length style for men, similar to the haircut you see on Timothy Chamalet. I'll get my client gowned up and wet his hair down, ready for the scissor cut. So I'm going to take sections across the back of the head here and then lift them all out at 90 degrees from the head. I'm going to start this haircut right at the center point, just below the crown. And I think that's an okay length. Now I'm going to follow that all the way down, but for now, just going to cut these sections across the back at the top. So I'll pull my section out and I'll cut each new section to the same length as the last. So when you pick your section up, look for your guideline. You should be able to see it through the hair. If you can't, then your section is maybe a little bit too thick. You have too much hair. You can look at the knuckle, the inside knuckle. There's some short hair, so you could cut to that if you pick up, and as long as you can find a marker, you can follow. There's another one there. Now I'll start cutting over towards the right hand side. Seems like there's a little bit more to come off here. That's okay, as long as I follow my guideline and just trust that I'm taking the correct amount off by following that guide. So I'll work my way right over to the right hand ear, and I'm not going to go any further than that. Once I get there, I'll separate it. I'll just put a little bit more water down, and I want to make sure that I've got a nice clean section here. So the entire back is covered and the front is separated away from it. Now, using the wide teeth of the comb here, I'm going to pick up further down. So I'm getting a little bit lower here, and I'm behind the ear. Okay, and this is going to be important later because I'm going to be pulling hair back towards that a little bit. So I'll follow that all the way across the back of the head. I'm going to take sections lower down now. So just like I took those sections on the top, I'm now taking sections lower down. And you can see that I've turned my comb round so that I can get the big teeth nearer towards a lower down part of the head. So I'm looking for the short hair at my inside knuckle, and that's from the hair that I cut further up. So this is quite uniform. I'm basically cutting the same length at the top and lower down on that section on the occipital bone and below, but the length that I'm pulling it out to is 90 degrees. Now this is going to be a little bit messy because we're just taking sections right now. We need to cross-check it. So to cross-check it, we'll take these sections here, and there's going to be a couple of things going on here. So if I use my hook and I just lift up a section, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use tension and pull this out, and it's a little bit uneven, that section. You can see that. That's because I took vertical sections, and there's always going to be a little bit of variation between the, one section to the next. And as I work my way down towards the bottom, what's going to happen is I'm going to come into very long hair, and that's the hair that I wasn't able to pick up with my fingers. It's just too steep of an angle to be going in with vertical sections at the back of the neck. So horizontal, sideways sections, that is the key to this. Just use these horizontal sections and cut straight across them. It's easier, it's more relaxing on your arm. You're not bending yourself into crazy shapes to try and get the haircut done. So right down the center, that area is complete, and we need to step to the right and the left hand side of that as well. On the right hand side then, we're looking for imperfections here. We'll pull these sections out. Any long hair that is sticking out. And of course, we'll just get into long hair further down anyway. Because of where the camera is, I'm altering between different hand positions. Normally, I would probably just go with an underhand grip, but because of the camera being where I want to stand, yes, there's the grip that I would like to use. However, and then just pull that last bit down in the comb and make sure it's straight across the comb. Now that's very uniform now, all the way from the top down towards the bottom. Again, over on this side, just cutting across. The scissor I'm using is my own. It's the Home brand scissor. It's an excellent Japanese steel, contains vanadium and cobalt. It's very, very sharp. It's a convex blade, which, if you don't know, a convex blade is sharpened to almost a razor point. It's extremely sharp, very hard material. You have to use high quality steel if you're going to have a convex blade. I'll leave a link down below. They are available on Amazon and in my online shop in the US, Canada, and Mexico. So now we're coming to the section where it's not uniform. And because of the shape of the hairline around the ear, it means that the hair would be much higher if I cut it uniform at the ear. So what I'll do is I'll pull those ear sections back, the ones above the ear, and that'll make them longer, and then I can carry that length forward. Now I know that sounds complex, but a picture speaks 1,000 words. Let me show you. So if I take my first section here and cut that to the length I want, the next one, if I pull it back to where the first one was, then it has to get longer. And then the next one again, I'll pull that back to the first section. So we're getting gradually longer there, okay? There's a long way for that hair to travel. And now that I've established that length in that area, I can now find my guideline and I can cut to that and I'll carry that length forward. And that's gonna keep enough hair around the perimeter of the ear. It means that I know it's nice and long there and it'll hang down all the way to the bottom of the ear. And that's important for this haircut because yes, we want it to be uniform, but you want the perimeter to be uniform as well so that there's no area where it jumps up, where the hairline changes. You want the perimeter to have its own line. So I'm going to take some horizontal sections, just work across here. Here's this ear section here now. Just take that little point off. And finally, just at the bottom here, let's pull all this down, get it nice and smooth, using the fine teeth just to get some tension on it. And I can cut across. On the face. I'm not going to cut the fringe quite yet, we'll do that at the very end. But what I want you to do is just match up on the other side exactly like this. And then let's go on to the top. On top, it's really simple. We're only taking a section straight down the middle. So I'm going to take off this peak. It's like a peak basically. And we want enough hair to fall to the sides. That's what we're looking for. This is going to stop it from being bulky. Okay, so like this hair in the middle, if you have a middle part and if it's very long in the middle, it means you're going to have bulk. It's going to be very heavy around the parietal ridge area of the head. So this is quite simple. I'm going to pull back a little bit towards the front. I'm going to over direct that hair back towards myself a little bit just to add some length. So anytime that you over direct or under direct, you're either adding or reducing length. A great example of an under direction would be a taper. You would under direct when you were cutting a taper and over direct if you were adding length. Let me know in the comments, by the way, how you get on with this length of hair, if you have any difficulties with it, and how often are you coming across this type of hair, because I think longer hair is becoming a lot more common in young men, especially with actors like Timothy Chamalet walking around with long hair and making it look good. So I'll have a little check now from the front to the back. Just on this side, I want to just check over and make sure that I'm not missing anything, any hair, any very long hair that is hanging down, because we did only take that middle section, but this is a check and you can see there isn't much coming off. I'll do the same on the other side. You shouldn't have too much, because what we do is we pull those sections, all that hair from the top has already been cut to some extent because it's long enough to reach down to the sides, which I was pulling back. At the front, let's just pull this straight down now. I want this to be quite long, okay, well longer than the eyes. I'm going to pull it down right in the middle, and let's see, what do you think? Lift his head up, I need his head to be straight. Let's go for the end of the nose. Okay, straight across there. And don't worry about cutting straight across, it doesn't matter if it's blunt, because this hairstyle is pushed back away from his face. So look how it falls, that's great, that's what we want. I'm going to put some salt spray in. This is like hair bond texturizer, but any salt spray that you can get your hands on. And then dry it to around about 80% dry, okay? With salt spray, maybe 90% dry, but you don't want it to be like bone dry. Let it dry naturally a little bit. And explain that to your client, because you don't want them to think that you're not completing the job. But I like to leave it 80% dry. I don't want it to go frizzy with the hairdryer. I want him to be able to work it with his hands as it dries naturally. So here's the final look. We've got a good uniform layer here. I'm dead happy with that. It's got texture from the salt spray. It's exactly what my client was looking for. I think it's quite similar to the Timothy Chamalet look. Tell me what you think. Did you like the haircut? Would you cut hair like this yourself? Any questions, let me know in the comments. Until next time, good luck with your mid-length scissor cuts.